It's game day. I'm glad my first game in Seattle in this new environment is at home.
And they quickly go away from one, and Shaheed comes over to get it from the 20. And with that speed, he twirls his way to the 35.
What happens when you put a track star in the NFL? Ask the Seattle Seahawks. Because right now, they've got a weapon so dangerous that defensive coordinators are losing sleep over a guy who wasn't even drafted. Picture this: Super Bowl Sunday, February 9th, 2026. The Seattle Seahawks are facing the New England Patriots with the Lombardi Trophy on the line, and one of their most lethal weapons is a player who 5 years ago couldn't get a single Power 5 school to offer him a football scholarship. A player who chose the smallest door available because everyone else told him he wasn't a real football player. A player who proved them all catastrophically wrong. His name is Rashid Shaheed. And if you don't know that name yet, you're about to understand why he's become one of the most electrifying players in the NFL.
Shaheed breaks through! Still going! A flag flies! Shaheed's gonna take it all the way!
This isn't just a story about speed. It's a story about belief, about choosing the harder path, and about what happens when pure velocity meets unshakable conviction. Let's go back to where this whole thing started, because Rashid's story doesn't begin on a football field. It begins in a household where speed wasn't trained, it was inherited. Born in Phoenix but raised in San Diego, Rashid grew up surrounded by track royalty. His father was a sprinter at Arizona State. His mother ran the 400-meter hurdles at San Diego State. His sisters were elite sprinters. In the Shaheed family, being fast wasn't special, it was expected. So when little Rashid started flying around the house, stuffing socks under his shirt like shoulder pads, sprinting through hallways like they were stadium tunnels, nobody was surprised. They'd seen speed before, but what they hadn't seen was how he moved. Even as a toddler, Rashid didn't just run fast. He moved with purpose, with angles, with instincts that looked like football even before he understood what football was. By the time he reached Mount Carmel High School in San Diego, Rashid was dominating two sports simultaneously. On the track, he was winning section titles in the 200 and 400 meters, running a 400 in about 48.5 seconds. Those are the kind of times that get college coaches on the phone before they even know your name. On the football field, he was turning every touch into an escape act, stacking up over 3,700 all-purpose yards and 24 total touchdowns. And then came the decision that would define everything: senior year. Rashid sat down with his parents and he cried, because he knew what they knew. Track was the safe path. Track had USC interested. Track had Ivy League schools sending letters. Track was the door wide open with a red carpet rolled out. But Rashid wanted football, and in football, he had exactly one scholarship offer: Weber State, an FCS school that most people couldn't find on a map. Think about that choice for a second. A kid with legitimate track talent at the Division I level, with schools like USC showing real interest, choosing instead to take the only football scholarship available from a small school in Ogden, Utah. From the outside, it looked insane. But Rashid wasn't chasing logic. He was chasing what felt like truth. He believed his speed wasn't meant for a stopwatch. It was meant for a scoreboard. So he turned down the safer choice and walked through the only football door that was open. And immediately, he proved why that decision was right. 2 games into his freshman year at Weber State, they played Cal, a Pac-12 team with bigger bodies, bigger recruits, and athletes who were supposed to swallow FCS players whole. Rashid put up 149 receiving yards and ripped off a 55-yard touchdown. That's the moment the narrative changed. This wasn't track kid tries football anymore. This was, why didn't anyone else see this coming? Over 5 years at Weber State, Rashid became a multi-purpose nightmare. He racked up 5,478 all-purpose yards, third most in school history. He scored 27 total touchdowns. He became a 4-time All-American. And in the category that screams NFL potential, he did something almost impossible. He set the FCS record with 7 kickoff return touchdowns. 7. That's not just being a good returner. That's teams literally changing their entire special team strategy to avoid kicking to you. But here's where the story gets complicated. Because while Rashid was breaking records and putting up video game numbers, there was a shadow following him. In 2019, he tore his ACL. He battled back. He kept producing. And then in his senior finale, right when he was supposed to be cashing in on everything he'd built, he suffered another major knee injury involving his MCL. So now, NFL scouts weren't just evaluating speed and production. They were evaluating a question: is he electric or is he fragile? When the 2022 NFL Draft came around, 32 teams looked at 7 return touchdowns, thousands of yards, elite speed, and still decided they'd rather bet on someone else. Those 2 knee injuries hung over every evaluation like a warning label, but he wasn't invisible to everyone. The New Orleans Saints had been tracking him. They told him if he was still available after the draft, they were coming for him. When the last pick was made and Rashid was still standing, New Orleans moved fast, signing him as an undrafted free agent with about $200,000 guaranteed. That's the NFL's quiet way of saying, we're not bringing you in just to fill a roster spot. But the timing was brutal. He was still rehabbing, still proving the knee was real again. Early on, he got cut, then brought back to the practice squad. His career became about patience, about being ready for one moment. Because in the NFL, the door doesn't always open slowly. Sometimes it cracks for one play, and you better be ready. Week 6 of his rookie season, 2022, Cincinnati. They handed him the ball on a jet sweep, and the first thing you noticed was how useless normal pursuit angles became. Defensive players were taking paths that work against regular humans. Against Rashid, it was pointless. He hit the edge, flipped his hips upfield, and turned one clean crease into a 44-yard touchdown on his first NFL touch. The next week against Arizona, he caught his first NFL reception and took it 53 yards for another touchdown. So now the league had a problem, because you can't ignore a guy who turns his first 2 touches into 2 touchdowns. 2023 became his breakout. He posted 3 catches for 153 yards against Indianapolis. He took a punt return to the house against Green Bay. By year's end, he was a first-team All-Pro punt returner and a Pro Bowler. The league couldn't keep him in the nice story category anymore. He was a legitimate threat. 2024 started perfectly. Through 6 games, Rashid was cooking. 20 catches, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging 17.5 yards per catch. And then it happened again. A meniscus tear, surgery, season over. Just when it looked like the clean breakout year was happening, the injury bug bit again. And this is where Rashid's story separates from the highlight reels, because speed is the headline, but durability is the real fight, which makes 2025 so shocking. Because Rashid didn't just come back, he came back dominating. Through 9 games with New Orleans, he put up 44 catches for 499 yards. And then he hit one of those plays that reminds everyone what he actually is. An 87-yard touchdown clocked at 21.7 miles per hour. That's not fast for a receiver. That's track speed in traffic. On November 4th, 2025, Seattle answered a question the entire league was asking. What would Rashid look like on a roster built to maximize his talent? The Seahawks sent the Saints a 4th and 5th round pick. That's a real price for a player who was once undrafted, once treated like a question mark. Seattle didn't see him as a luxury, they saw him as a missing piece, and Rashid didn't need time to adjust. Against Atlanta in Week 14, he took a kickoff back 100 yards for a touchdown. Against the Rams, he ripped off a punt return score that helped drag Seattle into overtime and out with a win. Even Cooper Kupp called him a cheat code, joking that he was jealous of that kind of speed. But the true payoff came in the playoffs. January 17, 2026, divisional round. Seahawks versus 49ers. Opening kickoff. Rashid caught it deep, took 2 steps, and the stadium realized what was happening before the defenders did. 95 yards. Touchdown. The longest postseason kick return in Seahawks history. A guy the league didn't draft, walking into the biggest moment of the season and turning the first snap into 7 points. Now he's headed to Super Bowl 60 with Seattle, averaging over 15 miles per hour on his routes, making a talented team even more dangerous. Rashid Shaheed chose football when the safe path was track. He got overlooked, went undrafted, got hurt, came back, and kept doing the same thing, turning 1 touch into points. He doesn't need 12 targets to change a game. He needs 1 mistake, 1 bad angle, 1 defender who blinks. That's what makes him impossible to stop. Not just the speed, the belief that got him here in the first place.